Welcome to Mishia Madness and Motivation Podcast. This podcast is for anyone wanting to evolve in every aspect of their life. Do you want to be better and live life to your fullest potential? Tune in with your host, blogger, entrepreneur, and beauty executive, Mishia.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. So, I am so excited for today. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a newbie, my name's Mishia. I am your host, and every Thursday, I chop it up with you guys and give you guys some inspiration and love and maybe tell a story or two. Today, actually, is the 75th episode of Misha's Madness and Motivation Podcast. Like the 75th episode. I am literally so excited and happy to even be at this point. Okay. 75 episodes. When I first started this podcast, I recorded, I think 7. I wanted to pre-record 10 episodes and then release them. But I think I ended up doing 7 episodes. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Okay, 75. So exciting. So today I'm so excited. I'm really full too. I just ate. I had the rest of this chicken that I made. It was like some stewed chicken. I had it with rice and mac and cheese, and I put my foot in this chicken. Okay, let me tell you about this chicken that I put my foot in. I seasoned it down. I let it marinate and everything for like a whole, maybe like 27 hours. Because I know it was a day. It was like a day and a half because I didn't get to cook when I wanted to cook because I ended up getting busy and I had to actually cook it super late at night. But it was just marinating and the ginger, the peppers, all the spice. And then I made it and I just had the last of it today. And I'm super full. I made some basmati rice. My little brother actually was like, ew, you're getting that kind of rice. So I didn't know anything was wrong with basmati rice. I thought it was good for you. And jasmine rice, they actually have a nutritional value or something. I think that's what I thought anyway. But he tried to come for me. So I don't know if that's just because he don't know what he's talking about and his rice game ain't up to basmati's level yet. But that's what I had. I'm so freaking full. And I was just like, when you eat and you just get the itis, and it's not like a sleep itis, it's just like a itis where you just want to sit and kind of do nothing, like a lazy itis. I mean, I guess all itises are lazy, but usually my itis results in me taking a nap. This itis didn't result in that. I was kind of sitting here like, what do I do? What do I do now? What do I do? But I have been going over these questions for my midterm. I have midterms that are today and tomorrow. And so I've been reviewing these questions. They're very meaty questions. I'm taking an English class. That midterm is tomorrow. And today I have a midterm and a class that's really easy, actually. The midterm is going to be a piece of cake. But this English midterm, it's actually okay. So it's not like a typical English class, but it is on ancient texts. We're currently reading the Quran, and I think it's the most interesting English class I've ever taken because we started by reading the Bible. We read not the entire Bible, but we read Genesis. We're not going to read the entire Quran, but and the Odyssey, and just a bunch of ancient texts that they all have something to do with a god or multiple gods and this storyline. And I just think it's so interesting. But I definitely need to review more before tomorrow. And it's time for me to take this midterm. All my grades are good right now. I just, you gotta stay on top of it. But after eating all that food, I was feeling a little heavy. was staring at the questions. I didn't really go and get any information to make sure that I knew what I was talking about and that, I'm going to sound like I got some sense on this midterm. But it's going to all come together. And that's that on that. I was really, really more excited to record this podcast episode, honestly, because it's the 75th episode. And like I said, like I remember when I first started and I recorded 7 EPs or maybe, yeah, I think like 7. And I had recorded them in 2019, but I hadn't started the podcast until I didn't make it live until 2 days before my birthday, which is actually my mother's birthday. And yeah, I like released probably 3 or 4 of the episodes. And at that moment, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do every week, every 2 weeks. I was still learning as I was going. I just knew that I didn't want to write my blog anymore and that I wanted people to hear my voice. I knew that much. And I was just like, I don't know, like maybe I'll just like release 10 episodes every so often. And like, I just wasn't sure. So that's how I started. And when I was so nervous to make the episodes like live, I was completely nervous, like as if other people in the world knew that I was, planning to release my podcast and they were just like waiting to call me and be like, oh my God, you said this wrong or whatever. Like that's how nervous I was. And for the first 2 weeks, first of all, for the first like couple days, the first like, I don't even remember because it's been a minute, but like for the first couple days, I didn't have any plays. So I was nervous for this audience to tear me apart that I didn't even have an audience, right? Like it was like the very beginning. So I'm just so grateful to even be on episode 75 and to have just kept going. You know what I mean? Like from no audience to an audience. And um, after not having any plays, like after like the first 2 weeks, I remember getting like my first 3 plays. I remember maybe out of like the 7 episodes, like 3 of them had like a play or two, and then it would go up like the following week to like 3 plays. And I was so excited for that. Like I was so happy, like, oh my God, 5 people. Even if it was not 5 people and it was just one person, well, it couldn't have been like that. But even if it were like that, like let's say out of the 5 episodes each had 1 play, even if it was that just one person listening to each of my episodes, I was through the roof with excitement because, like, what? I just decided to start this podcast randomly. I just knew that I wanted, like I said, I knew I wanted people to hear my voice. And at that moment, I didn't even have the visual idea. I wasn't thinking like I've done vlogs before, and if you follow or if you know me, then you know that I had I still have it. It's still active. I haven't posted on that YouTube in a while, but my hair YouTube, and I will also post like vacationing vlogs because I don't know, I just would. And I just still never had the thought, even though I was familiar with vlogging, I never had the idea to make my podcast have a visual. I don't know why that was escaping me. What is wrong with me? Don't know. But fast forward episode 75 and look, I'm looking at myself right here. I can see me. And hi guys. It's so nice to finally be able to be face to face with you. Um 74 episodes later, and here we are, like 5 plays later. Not 5 plays later, but that was in the past, and here we are today. I also have an audio upgrade. Like when I decided to start this podcast, and I even made a podcast about it, Misha's Major Tips for Starting a Podcast. And I was telling you guys, like, you don't need a bunch of money to get your voice out there. If you have this feeling, that you just need to do it, like you just have to do it no matter what. I ordered like I don't even remember how much the microphone was, but it was under $20. Probably was under $10 if we're being like honest. I don't know though. Maybe it was like 17, 13. I don't know. I got it from Amazon And it's like one of those mics that you, like the wire mic that you clip on yourself. And that's what I started with. And right on my iPhone, I would record, not even this iPhone. I had the 8 Plus, the red one. That's what I started with. And I would plug the microphone into my phone and I would wire myself up and I would shut myself into a closet and record. And now, I have this fancier microphone, and this isn't even the most expensive microphone out there, of course, but I've upgraded my audio. I have a soundboard now, and I'm bringing you guys a visual, and I'm still with Buzzsprout. Shout out to Buzzsprout for holding Misha's Madness and Motivation podcast down 75 episodes strong. Okay. Um, so I'm still using Buzzsprout, but I am actually recording my audio instead of on my phone in my voice memos, or I also tried to do Zoom for a little bit. Oh my gosh. Just I'll tell you guys in a minute what I think about Zoom. Not even knocking Zoom, but I started when at the beginning of the year when I knew that I wanted to keep going with the podcast, because I never felt like I wanted to quit this podcast. Even days where I didn't get a podcast out, or I mean weeks where I didn't get a podcast out, or I may have forgotten to attach my outro to a podcast episode, or I may have messed something up saying something in an interview or whatever. Like all of those moments, I never wanted to quit after that. So I just always wanted to get better and like polish myself and like, oh my goodness, I screwed up on this. I'm like looking up ways and other interviewers and other people and like, well, how would, how do they maneuver? And I'm taking classes on, just how to just polish the skill, this thing that I love to do, which is broadcast and speak to people and use my voice. So I never wanted to quit, but I've had some moments like with Zoom where I would interview someone and we would talk for a long time, and then either the audio wouldn't convert or would be like disrupted. And maybe that could be a computer problem, but upgraded my system and I'm using a new platform, a new streaming platform, which I absolutely love. I'm actually new to using it and I haven't had any issues, any zero, zilch issues as of yet. And gonna knock on wood. Is that a real thing to people still, knocking on wood? And I'm not even superstitious. Maybe that's just like old habits die hard. Like I've been knocking on wood and Jinx, you buy me a soda since I was a kid, or oh, you owe me a soda or whatever. Anyway, yeah. Disregard that. I did update my system. I used to use Zoom. That's basically what I'm telling you guys. Zoom was good to me, but I did have some problems with the audio or trying to get a good visual, and even just everything from the first episodes where I didn't even have a visual. I wasn't even reaching out to people and doing guest interviews in the first 10 episodes. I think I had one woman reach out to me, and it probably was like my 10th or 11th or 12th episode. Maybe it's like the 9th episode, but it was still very, very, 20 episodes or under. Someone had actually reached out to me, and it wasn't because of the podcast. It was because of my blog that I used to write. And when I had my blog, I actually did reach out to other entrepreneurs to do interviews, and I would record it and post it on SoundCloud and plug my SoundCloud audio into the blog. And the woman reached out to me and she's like, I love what you're doing. And basically, like, I want to be, I would love to do an interview, like, have you interview me. And I did. And I put her on the podcast. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. Because now I actually have a podcast and she was with it. And that was my very first interview, which, if I listen back now, I definitely bombed that interview. Like my interview skills now are so much better than then. Like I was so ill prepared to even interview this woman, but I am so thankful and grateful that she was put into my path to give me that opportunity to even see that bringing people on the podcast was something that I wanted to entertain and do. You know what I mean? So, episode 75. 75, man. Um, the audio upgrade, the visual upgrade, and um, the content as well. Like I said, I just this year had the idea of bringing different people on to share their experiences and share their knowledge because of course I can only live my one life. I haven't lived 100 lives, and it's better and it is better to get different human experiences told through different people that are having these experiences. And even with the new segment that I'm doing, Monday Nights with Mish, I absolutely am just so freaking grateful and happy of from the very first episode introductions, which I actually think I recorded in my kitchen. It sounds so echoey, so terrible, and yeah, just was terrible. But here we are. Like I said, started from the bottom. Now we're here. And I stress myself out about this podcast. Like my friends, my family, anybody who talks to me, even if they don't talk to me on a regular, if they even talk to me just like 3 times a month, if we're talking, this podcast is going to come up in conversation. Like I stress myself out about this podcast. You guys always come first. Even oh my goodness, there has been days where because at one point I was pre-recording a lot of stuff because I was really busy, and I was like, instead of stressing every week, I just wanted to get interviews done and have them edited and ready to go and they were in the queue basically. Like I had them all edited with intro, outro, cleaned up, put them up, and I scheduled them to release every Thursday. And that worked out for a while, and it is still working out actually. And there have been times where I would forget, oh my goodness, you know, today or tomorrow I have to post a podcast episode. And or I would be like, oh, what's today? And it would be like a Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, I gotta remember, on Thursday. Like I really had to train myself to make the podcast second nature, like really make it a part of my life because it was something new. And I'm not going to say that that was hard to make it a part of my life, but you guys definitely come first. And, there are a lot of late nights and early mornings having to do with just the things that I need to do as far as showing up for my family, showing up for my friends, making sure I'm showing up for myself as well. Like this podcast, yes, is showing up for myself and showing up for you guys, but like I have other areas of my life where, myself needs myself. So doing everything, and feeling overwhelmed and feeling like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to get all of this stuff done? Even if I get it done late, like there's been times where a Thursday episode was supposed to air and I didn't air it until Friday morning, like that type of overwhelmed and stressed out. But, I got it done. And each time it literally just motivates me to go harder and improve just on different things, small things, big things sometimes. And even with like anxiety or stress and feeling overwhelmed, I showed up. You know what I mean? Like I really did this and I'm so proud of myself, and I just have to give myself another round of applause because like I did that. Okay? We did that together, and I'm so grateful that you actually decided to come along with me on this journey and join me. And I don't know. If you can take anything from me and my 75 episodes of Misha's Madness and Motivation, if you can take anything, please just know that it takes passion. Okay? Whatever you want to do, however, you want to get it done doesn't even matter. What matters is the passion you put behind it, that force that you put into it to mold it and raise it on up and put it on out there into the world. So when you're passion driven, when you just want it so bad, all of the fear, all of that anxiety, all that overwhelmedness, even when you're sleepy, like, oh my goodness, I was so tired one night, stayed up until like 4 in the morning doing homework because I had stayed up doing a live stream. And then after the live stream, you want to get links right and you want to get everything together. Then it's like, oh crap, like I have to do my homework. Staying up until 4 in the morning and doing my homework, even though that class is the next morning at 9 a.m. And you know what I mean? I'm super tired and lack of sleep and I'm overwhelmed and I'm just like, am I going to get it done? The passion overrides all of that. Like, yes, I may have drinking a cup of coffee or I might have a Red Bull every once in a while, but at the end of the day, I am literally running on passion. Like, that's what keeps this jet fueled. Like, that's what keeps me going all the time. It's literally the passion. So if you can take anything away from 75 episodes, yes, everybody's like, oh my God, but you have to be consistent. You have to work hard. You have to have a plan. And nothing is going to prepare you for what is going to happen in your life with anything, whether it's a creative pursuit, personal pursuit, whatever you're pursuing. I couldn't foresee that using Zoom and like at least 3 of my really, really good interviews that I was so excited to give you guys. I can think of 3 right now on the top of my head that I couldn't get the audio. So, they're basically, they didn't happen. And there's no way to plan. There's no way for me to plan for that. And yes, you can reschedule and you can have that same guest on, but that communication is never going to be the same as it were when you guys first spoke. And if I'm being honest, I haven't re-recorded with anyone where the audio wasn't good. And I actually only reached out to one person where the audio wasn't good. And it just so happened that we just never, like our schedules, like I guess, never matched up for us to reschedule. But the other 2, I didn't even reach out to them. I was just like, I had already done other interviews and I already accumulated content. So I don't want to say I didn't need it, but I was like, I can't dwell on this. I have to keep pushing forward. I have to, keep making new content and it'll just, whatever, it happened. Maybe I will, try and find someone else who talks about something similar. And of course, the message is never going to be the same, but if it weren't for me being so passionate about, oh my gosh, I have to share my joy and my love for honestly just life, but even further than that, right? What I love so much about it is being able to connect with different people and being able to share different testimonies and stories and experiences because, like I said, I only have my one life to live. So it's not only entertaining, but it's also a teacher in a way. Like instead of me living through these things, I am not even living vicariously, but maybe I can even say that because what it reminds me of is reading a really good novel and being so enthralled in the words that are on the page that you feel a part of it, like you feel like you've lived it as well, that you experienced everything that main character or the narrator or however, like you feel like you're there. So hearing different stories and connecting with different people and then spreading it out and sharing it to the masses, I can definitely say that is something I'm definitely passionate about. So every chance I get, I am asking someone to join the podcast. I'm opening up conversation. Even when it's not for content for the podcast, I'm always trying to get really good conversation out of people just for the hell of it, just for the brain exercise. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And whatever you love, I just want to encourage you to do it like with your full heart. Like be passionate. You ever notice when a person, I'm like myself included, like when people want something, they get it done. Like they make it happen. And the only thing right now that comes to mind, the only thing that comes to mind right now is actually my little brother. I'm like really missing him right now. He's my boy caught the Rona and we were hanging out and everything. And you guys know, because he was just on last week's episode, we were in the car together. We've been hanging out like nonstop. Like that's my bud. But he has the Rona and free him. I don't, and I'm gonna, stay on top of that. But for now, I don't. But it makes me think of him because when he wants to get something done, he will find a way. It doesn't matter if I tell him no, if my mom tells him no, if my other sister tells him no. He's going to be making a few phone calls. Well, who can make this thing happen? You know what I mean? And I I I do that in different ways. I'm sure everyone does that. Like whatever you want, you're going to find a way to make it happen. If you wake up one morning and you're like, today I'm going to go and what's a good example? Like, let's say you wake up one day and you don't have any transportation, but you're like, no, today is going to be the day that I go to the store and buy 8 jugs of paint because I need to, I want to repaint this room. You don't know how you're going to make it happen. You don't know what, da 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 da. But I bet you pull some strings and make it happen because it's something you really want to happen. You really want to go get the paint buckets. Terrible example, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying. So that's how you have to be. Like, that's what passion brings out of you. Like, no matter what obstacle happens or how many bad days come your way, you know your end goal. You're so fired up about whatever it is that nothing and nobody can tell you anything that is not on track with what it is that you want. Like, you're going to make it happen with or without that person or their ideas or whatever. So, be passionate. You know what I mean? Nobody has to understand it. Nobody has to, get why you're doing what you're doing, or they don't even have to support it. You know what I mean? And along the way, you're going to find people who understand it. You're going to find people who want to support and be a part of it. And you are also going to just you're going to find your way. Feel the resistance and lean in, as Keisha Glenn said on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. She said, whenever she feels resistance, she leans in. She doesn't, run away from it or whatever. And I totally can relate to that. No matter, oh my gosh, like, what are people going to think? Oh, I'm so scared. Do you think I'm not every single time I message anyone to be a part of this podcast? Complete strangers most of the time. You don't think I'm nervous when they respond back to me and they're like excited? I'm still nervous to respond back to them, to even set up the date, because I don't know, like I'm just nervous. And I'm nervous of, oh my goodness, like what if they don't show up, or what if they, like anything can happen. Like nothing can prepare you, like I said. So do it. Just do it with all the jitters, all of the everything, low confidence, no confidence, whatever it is. You just have to get out there. I mean, I still am not, 100% the best that I can be in this thing. So, and I'm still, every day I show up and I make it a point to perfect my craft and to go out, and like I'm just so passionate that it is all going to fall together. And that's what I want for everybody listening. I just want you guys to get fired up. I want everyone to get fired up and be passionate, man. Show some passion and do it fully. Be all in and and love it and just love the journey and embrace the journey. And even if you only get 5 plays in the first 2 weeks, keep going. Even if you wake up and it's Friday and you're like, oh, I didn't post. Listen, today is a new day. Okay? You have to start at some point, and before you know it, you're going to be running on passion, and the tiredness isn't going to matter. None of it. It's going to be second nature to you because no matter what, you're so passionate. You want it so bad. You're going to make it happen. That's that's just how I'm feeling today. I feel so good. I feel so good. Like 75 episodes. It literally, I was like, wait, what? This is episode 75? November 4th, 2021. And happy birthday to my Uncle James. We love you here from the pod. And yeah, happy birthday to you. 75 episodes. He's actually 50 years old today for my 75th. Our 75th episode. 75. And he's 50. Okay, so guys, for old time's sake, let me find a quote. This is super impromptu, but like literally episode 75, it just took me back to the beginning to 2019, even though technically we didn't go live until January 2020. It's about to be January 2022. Pretty soon. Man. So here we go. A quote of the day. I'm going to actually pull one from a site called Brainy Quote. So from Brainy Quote, and this is a quote by George Bernard Shaw, and it says, "A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing." Let me read it again. It says, "A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nada." Have a little passion. Be passionate. Oh, guys, tune in with me also this Monday. I'm streaming on Facebook. I'm streaming on Twitter. I'm streaming on YouTube. We are talking about dating. Um, Anyone in my age bracket, what's that? I can do what, 18 to 35? Yeah, I want to talk about dating. What is happening in the world? Because everyone's saying that everyone seems to want the same things on social media, and everyone's looking for that one person on social media. But then if that's the case, because I'm out here in the dating world, I don't know. I need to talk to a few people to see what's happening in their dating world. But in the world that I'm dating in, I need it to match up, and I need to know why it's not matching up, and I need to know what is it matching up for y'all. Anyway, join me on Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to talk about dating. You can drop your comments in, and you can let me know how you're feeling as we stream live. So until then, I will see you guys. Happy Thursday.